Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to J is for Justice. Hopefully, our stream will work better than it did earlier. Thanks, moderators, for coming back and helping out. I know some of you were here earlier, and I thank you for that. I had some audio, not even just audio, just like major robot voice. Just was not working out for me. So hopefully it's a lot better now that we're back on the old OBS. I is. I'm back on OBS now. Yes, ma'am. Welcome in, welcome in. So we're going to go through the filing. And since we had such a blunder earlier, I decided to give you some clips along with it. It sounds great. Hey, potato. What you got garlic for? Oh, Garlic Man's here. Hi, Garlic. What's up, Deb? Hey, Kristen's back. Kristen. Hey, Sherry. Hi, Heavenly. Suze, Sapphire, and Gypsy. Hey, Pooh Bear. Oh, Green-Eyed coming in hot like a fajita. Thank you, Green-Eyed. Hey, Add to Cart. Hey, Cricket. Welcome back. Hey, Shawnee and Anna. Who else do we got here? Oh, here's a reminder to go on live chat. If you can. On my phone, I still don't have my cog. Charming Jenna, good evening. Chris. Tim Sparks from the Seaboing. He's getting signal tonight. Mr. Garlic Man says, ladies and gents, I have arrived. Party of one, good evening. I hope you guys have all had a great Sunday. Did you guys relax today? Were you busy today? What were you doing? Let me know. Green Eyed, thank you so much for your $5 super sticker. Greatly appreciated. Oh my God, we got Cheesy in the house. Cheesy's back. Welcome back, Cheesy. Are you doing better? I sure hope so. Oh, and we've got Deb. We got Deb coming in hot with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. She said, I love you, Jay. I love you too, babe. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the community. Am I lisping right now, Robat? Clickers. Welcome in, Clickers. Took the day off, Delphi. That's probably a good idea. It's getting a little heavy. Sherry, oh Sherry. Thank you so much. Our love. Thank you for your support, guys. You got your Halloween costumes. You were cleaning hungover. You're getting better every day. Good. Good. Scrubbing the bathroom. Come scrub mine. She's like, hells to the no. Yeah. Robat's husband, they were driving down the road and he was singing, coming in hot. He didn't say like a fajita, though. He just said, coming in hot. Goofball. YouTube has been, hey, Sarah. YouTube has been acting really effing funny lately. Jay just said whiff like the attorney. Green Eyed, you are a hoot. Thank you so much. Here, I've got an attorney for you. Oh, you probably couldn't hear that, could you?
Exhibit E. EXHIBITY.
You know, I did that. I deleted the app and reinstalled it, and my cog thing came back, and now it's gone again. You made Zawaki cry earlier because you sent him a letter from your heart. Do I want to know? Captain Ganja, Puff Puff Pass, Mystic Butterfly, welcome in. You baked cupcakes with your granddaughter. That's awesome. What a fun day. Can't think of anything more meaningful than that, for real.
Coming in hot, just like the fajita.
I know. I gave up, Potato. I gave up on it. I'm like, forget it. All right, let's get into these documents. There's quite a few pages, so bear with me here. We have, oh, by the way, we have the boys' new mugshots up on the top right-hand corner of the screen. These mugshots were taken on 10/10. So those are the newest mugshots, and they're all smiles. You said how much you loved his channel and not to give up. That was nice of you. Okay. I'm not going to be looking at chat while I read this. Hey, Globalism. Good to see you, honey. And Ember Burns. Good to see you. Just know that hey, Raken. Just know that if you send a super chat or a super sticker or become a member, I will recognize those when we take a break from reading through these documents, because there is 57 pages. Be it light. Good evening. So let me get a drink and I'm going to start reading. If you guys have any questions or anything, you can put them in the chat and I'll get to them. See, I can't get into Monsters. I tried to watch it. I can't do it. If you want to watch something on Netflix, if you haven't watched it already, it's called Menendez Brothers, and it's their own words. It's their own words. Okay. So this was filed by George Gascón, the district attorney in LA. I'm not going to read all of that, but it is addressed to the resentencing unit, and it was filed on October the 24th of 2024. People of the state of California versus Erik and Lyle Menendez. People's motion requesting recall of sentence and resentencing hearing. And this is going to go through, right? It's going to go through, where the hell is the other pages? Coming in hot. Now I got to adjust this. Hold on. It just went wonky on me. All right. That's probably better. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's keep going. To the Honorable Judge William Ryan of the Los Angeles County Superior Court, defendants Erik and Lyle Menendez, and all interested parties. Now again, this was filed by the DA. Please take notice that as soon as can be heard, the people will move the court to recall the sentence of Erik Menendez and Joseph Lyle Menendez and resentence them in the interests of justice. This motion is made upon the grounds that the circumstances of the case warrant the court exercise its discretion and re-examine the disposition in the case. This motion is based on the pleadings in this action, the attached memorandum of points and authorities, the attached exhibitees, and on such oral and documentary evidence as may be presented at the hearing on the motion. And this is signed by the resentencing unit deputy in charge, post-conviction litigation deputy. Request for recall in sentencing. The people respectfully request this court to recall defendant's sentence and resentence them pursuant to Penal Code Section 1172.1. Defendants have demonstrated exceptional post-conviction conduct, a critical factor in assessing their suitability for release. Defendants have demonstrated they no longer present a public safety risk and that their current sentence is no longer in furtherance of justice. The people, therefore, request the court vacate, recall, and resentence defendants. All right. Now we're going to get into the meat and the potatoes of this case. On March 12th, 1990, a felony complaint was filed in the Beverly Hills Municipal Court. And this complaint charged Erik and Lyle Menendez with the August 20th, 1989 murder of their parents, Jose and Kitty. It was alleged in the commission of the murders, the defendants each personally used a firearm. 3 special circumstances were also alleged against them. So in addition to the murders, they had special circumstances, which were that the murders were committed by the defendants for financial gain, that the murders were committed by the defendants while lying in wait, and that the defendants committed multiple murders within the meaning of Penal Code Section 190.02. The defendant's preliminary hearing was delayed due to litigation regarding the admissibility of tape recordings involving the defendants discussing the killing of their parents with their psychotherapist. The district attorney's office then proceeded to the grand jury of LA County and sought indictments against the defendants for the killing of their parents. On December 7th, 1992, the grand jury issued an indictment charging the defendants with the murder of each of their parents and alleging the lie in wait and multiple murder circumstances. The defendants were also originally indicted for the conspiracy to murder both Jose and Kitty in separate counts, but the government returned to the grand jury on April 14th, 93, and sought an amended indictment wherein the defendants were charged in one count only with the conspiracy to murder both of their parents. On January 12th, 1993, the government announced they were seeking the death penalty against both defendants. The defendants were tried jointly, commencing in June 1993, before separate juries. Neither jury was able to reach a verdict, and the trial court declared a mistrial as to each defendant. I thought that was always strange, too. A little sidebar here. I always thought it was weird how they had the two juries. You know, like they had the Lyle Menendez jury, and it was weird. And the Erik Menendez jury, it was like they were shuffling them in and out, and I don't know. It was just really weird. It seemed a little chaotic, if you will. But to say that both of the juries, though, were unable to reach a verdict in that first trial says a lot. It's not just one jury, but two. The defendants were retried starting in October of 95 before a single jury. On March 20th, 1996, the jury found the defendants guilty as charged. The penalty phase resulted in verdicts of life without parole rather than death for the defendants in April of 96. On July 2nd, 1996, the trial court imposed consecutive life terms without parole on the two murder convictions and stayed the conspiracy to murder. Okay, so here is the brief statement of facts. Welcome in, Flobo and Global. Good to see y'all. Anybody else who is just joining? Amy? Good to see all of you guys. Oh, Cheesy, it's just so good to see your name in chat. I've really been worried about you. Allegedly, good to see you. On August 20th, 1989, at approximately 10:30 p.m., defendants Erik and Lyle shot and killed their parents, Kitty and Jose, as they sat on the family's couch watching television and eating. Both defendants repeatedly fired Mossberg shotguns at their parents, striking them multiple times with shotgun pellets all over their bodies. One of the Menendez's neighbors heard a series of popping sounds at about 10:30 p.m., and then a period of silence, and then another series of popping sounds. The neighbor's son was going to call 911, but was dissuaded from doing so by his father because he thought the popping sounds were simply firecrackers. Y'all, no one called police. All these gunshots, and no one in that neighborhood called the popo because it was such a highfalutin neighborhood. They never thought in a million years it was gunshots. They didn't hear gunshots and sirens in Beverly Hills, right? At the time of the killings, Lyle Menendez was 21 and a student at Princeton, while Erik was 18 and preparing to attend UCLA in the fall. On the afternoon of August 20th, Lyle called a friend and discussed getting together that evening at a food festival in Santa Monica. That would be the Taste of LA. Lyle told the friend he and Erik were going to see a movie in Century City, but after the movie finished around 9:30, they would go meet up with the friend in Santa Monica. When the defendants, what a life, huh? When the defendants did not show up in Santa Monica, the friend left. Lyle Menendez called the friend twice at approximately 11 p.m. In the first call, Lyle said he got lost on the way to Santa Monica, and by the time he finally found the location, the food festival was closed. Lyle Menendez suggested the friend meet him and Erik at a restaurant in Beverly Hills. The friend was reluctant, but because Erik Menendez was very insistent and sounded anxious and excited, the friend ultimately agreed. Lyle Menendez called the friend again, just a few minutes later, and asked him to meet the defendants at the Menendez home instead of the restaurant. So Lyle called and wanted this friend to go to their house. The friend told Lyle he would wait at the restaurant instead, but the defendants never appeared. The friend was angered by this behavior and went to the Menendez home to yell at the defendants, but then saw a large number of police cars outside and was told by the police there was some trouble, so the friend went home. At 11:47 p.m. on the night of the killings, Lyle Menendez called 911 and said, quote, "Somebody killed my parents." Lyle Menendez said he had not heard anything unusual. He had just come home and discovered that his parents had been shot to death. Police officers responded to Lyle Menendez's 911 call. All right, before we get to the next section, I'm going to play you guys a clip here. Hold up. This will kind of give you a little more realism to the situation. So you can hear the 911 call yourselves. Here we go.
Beverly Hills emergency.
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, man,
Were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
102 response. 722 North Elmont.
What happened? Hey, stay there,
I have a hysterical person on. We're trying to get screened further. Other units responding. Is the person still there?
What happened? We have units around. What happened? Who shot who?
I don't hear anything. I just came home.
You came home and found who shot?
My mom and dad. You know if they're still in the house, the people that did the shooting.
Get away from him. Okay. Hey, let me talk to Erik. Who is the person that was shot?
My mom and my dad.
Your mom and dad?
My mom and my dad.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we're on our way over there with the ambulance.
Okay, I gotta go.
Okay.
Oh.
Hello, this is police department.
Yes.
Okay, I want you to come outside. Okay, just come out the front door and
I never my brother.
And that was when they go outside to the police. Is that nuts or what? He says, "Erik, get away from them." Because the dispatcher called them back. They gave their names and everything. I don't think that was the complete. That's all we get is that part of the 911. I think there's more to it. Police officers responded to Lyle Menendez's 911 call. When they reached the front of the Menendez residence, Erik and Lyle Menendez ran out the front door of the house. The young men were screaming. The investigating detective did not recover any ammo inside the residence, nor were there any shotguns located. The defendants spoke to the police the night of the murders, as well as again in September of '89. In both interviews, the defendants said they were elsewhere at the time of the murders. At the time of the first interview, Lyle Menendez indicated the possibility that the killings were, quote, business related. Within a few days of the killings, Lyle Menendez hired a security services company to provide constant protection for him while he was on the East Coast. Lyle Menendez told the security company that his parents' killings were committed by an organized crime group, a story he repeated to other people over the next few months. Erik Menendez testified at trial that he had been physically and sexually abused by his father, Jose Menendez, between the ages of 6 and 18. Erik Menendez testified he loved his parents, but killed them because they were going to kill him after he had disclosed to his brother Lyle that his father had been sexually abusing him. Erik Menendez told Lyle Menendez about the molestation 5 days before the killings and told him it had been ongoing for the past 12 years. On August 17th, Lyle Menendez confronted Jose Menendez about the molestation of Erik Menendez. Lyle threatened to tell the police or relatives if Jose Menendez did not stop. Erik Menendez testified that he believed both he and Lyle would die as a result of Lyle's threat to expose Jose Menendez's molestation of Erik. The next day, Erik and Lyle purchased the Mossberg shotguns they used in the murders with cash at a sporting goods store in San Diego. At the time of purchase, Erik Menendez presented a California driver's license in someone else's name and gave a non-existent home address in San Diego. Erik later testified at trial. He and Lyle Menendez picked up the ejected shotgun shells at the murder scene because they believed their fingerprints might be on them. The defendants left the house and stopped at a car wash where they dumped the shotgun shells and bloody clothes in the trash. Erik Menendez testified he also feared his mother, Kitty, because she participated in her husband's abuse behavior by condoning it. In his testimony, Erik Menendez made clear that in the days preceding the murders, he thought his parents were going to kill him. There was a planned fishing trip on August 19th that the defendants tried to avoid because Erik Menendez was afraid the fishing trip was a ploy to kill the defendants out at sea. Ultimately, the defendants returned home, and then their parents took them out on the fishing trip. During the entire time, an independent witness corroborated that the defendants stayed at the front of the 31-foot boat. Erik Menendez testified this was because they were afraid of their parents. Now we're going to move over to a little bit of Erik's direct examination.
Now, when you got back to the house, what did you do?
I went into the room where my parents were.
Would you back up a little? Why did you do that?
I don't know. I just couldn't stop myself. I was just drawn to the room. I didn't really want to go in, but I could not go in.
And when you did go in, how did it affect you, if at all?
It affected me. I just started crying a lot harder. One point I started to scream. It was awful, and I couldn't handle what I was seeing.
Do you recall hearing the 9/11 tape that was played?
Yes.
Were you in the room with your brother when he was calling the police?
No.
Were you on the same floor of the house?
No.
Where were you when, to the best of your knowledge, your brother was calling the police?
I believe I was in the den. I mean, I don't know exactly at what point he was on the phone with the police. I assume when he went upstairs. But after he went upstairs, I went back to the den.
You had been in the den. Did he come and get you?
Yes.
Did he get you out of there?
Yeah.
And did he go upstairs?
Yes.
And you went back in?
Objection, leading. Sustained.
After he went back upstairs, after he went upstairs, what did you do?
I went back in the den.
And you don't know why?
No.
Were the lights still on?
Yes.
And when had the lights been put on?
When we were picking up the shells.
So the lights were on, and they saw their parents after what they did. Evidence was presented at trial of the defendants' efforts to convince two of their friends to testify falsely. One friend was asked by Lyle to testify the day before the murders. The defendants came to him and said they needed a handgun for protection from their parents. The other friend was asked by Lyle to testify that Jose had done to her what had been done to a character in a movie the friend had seen with Lyle. And that was drugging and graping, by the way. Lyle told the friend she would receive a large sum of money if she testified accordingly. Both friends refused. At trial, the people also introduced 9 pages seized from Lyle's jail cell before the first trial. The 9 pages contained references to safe houses in foreign cities, as well as international travel and visas for different countries. So this goes over the penal code of authorizing a court to recall the sentence of a defendant committed to state prison and resentence that defendant to a lesser sentence upon the recommendation of, among other agencies, the DA, where the defendant was sentenced, where the court determines the defendant's continued incarceration is no longer in the interest of justice. Briefed below is an overview of the statutes, legislative history. I'm lisping. The authority granted to the DA and the discretion granted to the court. So this is the legislative history of this penal code, and I'm not going to read all of that. It's giving the situations, and it says here that there's certain situations such as the defendant experienced psychological, physical, or childhood trauma, including but not limited to abuse, neglect, exploitation, or sexual violence if the defendant was a victim of intimate partner violence or human trafficking prior to or at the time of the commission of the offense, or if the defendant is a youth or was a youth at the time of the commission of the offense. So their ages at the time of the offense has everything to do with this. Here it is again. The court is required to consider if the defendant experienced all of those things I just listed. The defendant's post-conviction factors that show their sentences of life without parole are no longer in the interest of justice. The court should resentence Erik and Lyle to 50 years to life under Penal Code Section 1172.1. Here, The factors: Menendez current age, 54 and 56. Their age at the time of the offense and their rehabilitative efforts in prison all favor resentencing. The presumption, moreover, stands because Erik and Lyle posed no risk of danger to the public. Therefore, the people recommend this court resentence to a sentence of 50 years to life. Now, I'm going to bring up something that might be a little controversial, but something I can ask you guys what you think. So, being what we know about SA, and if people don't get the proper treatment, you know, they can be reoffenders, etc. Do you think that these guys are a risk for being an offender? I guess I can't really say reoffender because they've never done it. But do you think that they are a risk as far as their SA? Like, are we supposed to be comfortable with the fact that the prison system gave them appropriate therapy? What do you think about that? No, a lot of you are saying no. You don't think so? How come? What makes you feel that way? I'm just curious. Cuz like we're supposed to, just count on the fact that the prison has, rehabilitated them and helped them through that trauma. No, I guess you can't use that as a reason to keep them locked up, though, right? Because their charge is murder. It's just a talking point. Cheesy. It's kind of crazy, right? Because we don't know. And we're not justifying murder as a way to deal with abuse either. Well, we do know, okay, but we have to say, we have to go back to the testimony. Lyle used to take Erik out into the woods and do the same thing his dad did to him. He did to Erik. So the older brother did assault the younger brother when they were little. So there's more than just, the father essaying the sons. The older son also essayed his brother. So does that change your mind, knowing that? So, Deb, they would get out at 50 to life because of their age. They can make therapy a requirement of parole. Summer Lane says, I wouldn't trust it. Anyone can essay. There's no guarantees. These circumstances are a case-by-case basis. Pittsburgh Steelers, look at you. When your abuser is your dad and saying he's going to kill them, and then mom is saying she's going to poison them. Globalism says, I don't think they are, not after reading their progress reports for the last 35 years. They could have turned abusive in prison, but they haven't. They've done good for themselves and other inmates. Well, I just hope that they continue. No, Robat, they have been together since 2018. They were reunited. I think they should continue therapy. Tons of people wanted Gypsy Rose released early. They said she wasn't a threat to anyone. I'd trust these two more than her. Oh, amen.
Bring it all in.
I'm with you on that one. Also, the report stated Lyle was moved to a special unit because he refused to fight back even when he was attacked. Wow. Oh boy, Steeler Nation in the house. Y'all crack me up. Oops. Okay, let's get back to this. So this is why they're getting out. Now 54 and 56, the Menendezes pose a low risk of committing a new violent felony while serving a 50 to life sentence. Erik Menendez is 54 years old. Lyle is 56. Studies show that criminality declines drastically after 40 and even more so after 50. So they're giving some stats on the age. Given their age, their risk of committing a new violent felony is extremely low. Their respective ages, therefore, weighs in favor of resentencing here. Oh, I know. And we have Gypsy Rose out there procreating. It's crazy town. The widespread recognition of youth as significantly mitigating contrasts with the perception at the time of the Menendez trial. At that time, courts took the outdated view that a defendant's youth was a metonymic factor, i.e., capable of either being mitigating or aggravating. As a result of a growing scientific understanding in the decades since this sentence was imposed, courts now recognize that incomplete brain development renders youth less capable of conforming conduct to that required by law, and that key features of the brain continue to undergo significant changes throughout a person's 20s. So they're talking about scientific developments in, a youth's brain. Erik and Lyle Menendez's youth at the time of the crime is a highly mitigating factor, the import of which was not fully understood or considered at the time of his initial charging and sentencing, and it weighs in favor of resentencing 50 years to life. Evidence of sexual and physical abuse. If taken as true, both the testimony of Erik and Lyle Menendez and the probation reports prepared July 2nd, 1996, documents several allegations of physical and SA by family members. Specifically, Lyle Menendez reported and testified that his father, Jose, molested him until he reached the age of 8 years old. And then they have that exhibit attached. The SA stopped, but Lyle reports that he, quote, continued to see violence until the age of 11 or 12. So I don't know exactly what he means by that. But here is Lyle Menendez direct examination from the trial.
Call the police.
Is that the 911 tape that's been played here in court?
Right.
And on that tape, you're crying.
Yes.
Was that real?
Yes.
Why were you crying?
Why?
What was upsetting you?
Just the shock. Just not believing that this was happening to me, and that my parents were dead, and that I was about to call the police. And it's really hard to describe the weekend and the stress and the fear and nervousness and caving in feelings. I was really marginal throughout as it got closer to what actually happened, and by then I was just really raw and just crying for crying's sake. I don't know, crumbling.
You portrayed yourself as being very upset to the police when they got there, right?
No, that's why I went there, because we were crying. I was upset. I mean, by the time I talked to the officer a little later, I wasn't crying, and I wasn't trying to fake it, and I wasn't trying to, put on an act or anything like that. I was just feeling what I was feeling.
You wanted to get away with it, right?
We really weren't thinking in those terms, and we weren't thinking in terms of... We were just basically thinking that we'd shot our parents and that this was horrible, and that if, I just couldn't tell the police that, and that I did not want to then have to tell them why and explain everything about my family. And neither of us did, and we were pretty pretty firm about that. And I mean, we knew that they could easily figure it out, and you know, we didn't know anything about how they investigate things, and they might figure it out right away. But until they did, they didn't want to volunteer it. Just started with after sports practices, he would massage me, and we would have these talks, and he would show me, and he would fondle me, and he would ask me to do the same with him, and I would touch him, and we would undress.
Where would this take place?
In my bedroom.
And how often would this happen?
Like 2 or 3 times a week.
And for how long did this happen?
Not too long. It began to change.
When did it begin to change?
I'm not sure exactly at what time, but almost close to when I was 7.
And how did it change?
Just became more involved.
What do you mean more involved?
We would be in the bathroom, and he would put me on my knees, and he would guide me, all my movements, and I would have oral sex with him.
Did you want to do this? At some point, did he do some other things to you?
Yes.
What else did he do to you?
He used objects.
What kind of objects?
A toothbrush and some sort of shaving utensil brush.
And what would he do with the toothbrush?
Well, in the bedroom, we'd have what we called object sessions, and just slide my pants down or take my pants off. Sometimes it would be for a short period of time, sometimes longer. Just lay me on the bed and he'd have a tube of Vaseline, and he just played with me.
And was there some point in time when he decided to use something besides the toothbrush?
Yes.
And did he try to anally penetrate you with something else?
He did.
And what was it?
He raped me.
Did you cry?
Yes.
Did you bleed?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Very.
Did you ask him not to?
Yes.
How did you ask him not to?
I just told him, I don't. I'm sorry.
I just told him that I didn't want to do this and that it hurt me. And he said that he didn't mean to hurt me. And he loved me.
Sick.
Was that important to you, that he loved you?
Yes, very. But I still didn't want to do it.
Did you tell your mom?
Yes.
What did you say to your mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
What did your mom say?
She told me to stop it. And that I was exaggerating. And that my dad has to punish me when I do things wrong. And she told me that he loved me.
Did you ever tell anybody else?
When?
Did you ever tell anybody else when you were a child? You heard Diane Vandermolen testify. Do you
Yes.
remember telling her?
No.
Did you complain to your cousin Alan?
No, not about that.
Just about punishment. As a child, did you ever tell anybody else what had happened with your dad?
Yes. As a child, no.
Why not?
I was afraid, and my dad didn't want me to.
What did he tell you about telling people?
He just said that it was our secret. That bad things would happen to me if I told anybody. And I told him I never would.
How old were you when this stopped?
8.
So during the time between 6 and 8, when this was going on, did you tell your brother?
No.
Did you do something to your brother?
Yes.
What did you do to your brother?
I took him out to the woods. Whenever I felt, I don't know, I took him out sometimes, and I took a toothbrush also, and I played with Eric in the same way. And I'm sorry.
It stopped for you with your dad when you were 8. When you were about 13, did you think that it might be happening to someone else?
Yes.
And who did you think it was happening to?
Eric.
And did you do something about it?
Yes.
What did you do?
I talked to my dad.
What did you say to your dad?
I told him that I knew what was going on with him and Eric, and I heard noises, and that I wanted him to leave Eric alone.
I know that was tough to listen to, but it's bad. And I agree with whoever said they think it's worse than has been revealed. I agree with that. I agree with that. All right, let's get back to our filing. Now we're going to be going on to Erik. Erik Menendez reported that when he was 6 years old, quote, his father, the victim in this case, began to molest him, making Erik Menendez massage and orally copulate him. When Erik Menendez was 12 years old, Jose Menendez began sodomizing him. At some point, Erik Menendez disclosed to his older brother, then 13-year-old Lyle, that Jose was graping Erik. Lyle Menendez, in a separate probation interview, reported that at the age of 13, quote, he confronted his father about the child abuse of co-defendant Erik Menendez. He felt good about the confrontation and thought the abuse had stopped. Marta Menendez Cano, the defendant's paternal aunt in North Palm Beach, Florida, reported to the Los Angeles Probation Department when they interviewed her for Lyle Menendez's sentencing report that, quote, the defendants feared their father. When Erik was 12, he was beaten by his father for suspicion of telling Lyle about the essay that was going on between him and his father. The secrecy that is typical in essay cases was evidenced by the anger Jose would show if anyone came to their house unexpectedly. Erik was not allowed to call or receive calls from his cousin Andy. Marta Menendez Cano also reported that, quote, one time, Jose sat Erik and Andy down in the den to show them a, quote, educational video. The video turned out to be hardcore pornography.
It seemed to be related to the nice sex, but it was different.
And what was different about rough sex?
It was very strange. It was very dark. He turned off the lights. He put candles around the bed and on my nightstand and on my dressers, and he would light them, and he would put the candles in cups, the cups that he would bring from the kitchen or different plates that were in my bedroom. And it would be very dark, and it would be very quiet, and he would do these things to me.
And was that when he was doing things with tacks and such? Have you told us already about some of the things he would do?
Yes.
Mr. Menendez, before this set of episodes called Rough Sex began, did your father announce to you something about pain training?
Yes, he did.
And could you tell us about that?
He told me that I was the biggest sissy and the biggest coward he had ever seen in his entire life, and that he was ashamed to have me as a son because I couldn't take the pain and I couldn't be brave from what he had seen.
What was he referring to? Do you know?
He was referring to a shot I got in the doctor's office when I was in this doctor's office and he was there. The doctor had pulled out this needle, and I was real calm, and I was real relaxed until he stuck it in me, and I was screaming and crying and really crying out to the point where I had to go out the back door of the office. And
why'd you have to go out the back door of the office?
Because I was embarrassed, but he was so embarrassed that he could not leave and go into a group of people who were in the doctor's office waiting room.
Who's he? Who was embarrassed?
My father.
Okay. So you were crying and he didn't want to walk you through the waiting room because you were crying?
No, he didn't want to walk through the waiting room because I had been screaming in the doctor's office.
Okay, were you still screaming?
No.
He just didn't want anybody to know who was the screaming kid?
Yes.
Okay. And after this, he made this announcement to you about your being sissy and coward?
Yes.
And what did he tell you he was going to do about that, if anything?
He told me that he was going to train me how not to feel pain, not to have to feel the hurt of the pain, and that he was going to eliminate that from my senses, my feelings.
And how did he then demonstrate to you how he was going to do that?
He did that.
Would you back up from the mic a little bit? Thank you. And would you tell us, how did he do that?
He would stick things in me as he was giving me oral sex, or at times he would just sit on the bed with his legs up, spread, and with his back to the back of the bed, and he would have me give him me oral sex, and he would stick the needles or the tacks into my thighs as he was doing this.
Did he also use a knife at any time during, and these were the incidents that you've come to call rough sex?
Yes.
And did he also use a knife at any time?
Yes, he would. He had this wooden kitchen knife that he would use to he wouldn't be doing anything with sex at that point, though. He would just have me sit on the back of the bed. He would put a towel under my legs, and he would just cut my thighs with the knife.
And do you have a scar that is still visible on your thigh from when he did that?
Yes.
Which thigh is it?
My left thigh.
And how long is this?
It's not really my thigh. It's right on the side of my knee.
On the side of your knee?
Yeah, right at the bottom of my thigh.
And how long is this scar?
It's about that long.
And do you recall that that's something that was done during one of these episodes?
Yes.
Was there something, Mr. Menendez, that you called the mirror?
Yes.
And what was the mirror?
I know, disgusting, right? Jose Menendez.
My thighs with the knife.
Was a monster. This man was a monster. Everybody says, why didn't they call the police? Why didn't they move out? These kids were controlled. These kids were controlled. That's like telling Diddy's victims, why didn't you just go to the police? Why didn't you just tell the police? Like, really? You waited 30 years to come out with this? Like, why didn't you tell the police? It's so condescending. I can't handle it. Hey, Gloria. Peaches, good to see you. Welcome in, everybody. Good to see you guys. Oh, it's absolutely horrific. As related to the defendant's mother, Kitty Menendez, Miss Menendez-Cano reported, quote, if Erik got sick at school, he would beg his teachers not to call his parents. If he stayed home sick, his mother would put him in the closet and make him stay there from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. He would be punished greater if he came out of the closet without permission. Andy was the only one who knew what was happening to Erik. Hi, Paul. Good to see you tonight. Diane Vancer Mullen, the defendant's cousin, stated to probation at the time of the sentencing report that, quote, her Aunt Kitty was her mentor in life. I adored her. However, Diane noticed a huge change in Kitty's behavior. When Erik was around 11 years old, she, Diane, saw him sobbing about something. When she went to comfort him, Kitty physically stopped her and said, quote, we don't hug Erik anymore. This is their mother. Erik Menendez went on to state that after they moved to California in '86, the abuse stopped for a while. However, a week after he turned 16, his father entered the room, ordered the defendant to get on his knees and orally copulate him. This continued to occur every 1 to 3 months until August 10th, '89, 10 days before the present offense. Defendant was to start at UCLA in the fall and was going to be living in a campus dorm. However, a week before the present offense, father told defendant he would be coming home several nights a week, so father could go over his homework. The probation department's sentencing report for Erik Menendez also noted that Erik Menendez reported that, quote, mother said she knew what was happening between defendant and father, end quote. The childhood abuse and trauma incurred by both defendants in this case is sufficient to invoke court considerations under sections 1170, subsections blah, blah, blah. Erik Menendez's path towards rehabilitation supports the imposition of a new sentence. The court may consider a defendant's prison disciplinary record as one factor among others in evaluating whether he should be resentenced. Here, Erik Menendez's overall disciplinary record while incarcerated is reflective of his positive trajectory through his period of incarceration. Erik Menendez has received 8 rule violations over the last 30 years of incarceration. Okay, so we're going to go over what Erik has gotten in trouble for. September 23rd, 2021. Wait, let's start at the bottom. I am so sorry. Sorry, my dog is going crazy. Is the audio okay? I did mute. The dog was going nuts. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now? Let me know if it's loud and clear. It sounds fine on my phone for me. I'm not cutting out on my end. Okay. These are what he got in trouble for, Erik. On 4/1/97, disobeying an order, Erik Menendez refused to leave the chapel after the yard had been recalled. November of 97, battery requiring the use of force. Erik Menendez assaulted another inmate. The men did not stop fighting when ordered to. This is insane. Hold on. Jeez, oh Pete, I am so sorry. If I'm cutting out, maybe refresh or something. All right. So that was November of 97. January of 93, possession of tobacco, refusal to provide urine sample. In 2005, unauthorized possession of controlled medication. Erik pretended to take his Wellbutrin. The guard asked to see the cup Erik put to his mouth. The pill was still in the cup. Excessive physical contact with female visitor in 06. 2011, fighting, mutual combat, hands and fists. Erik reported that the other inmate came over and assaulted him. 2018, Erik Menendez was laying on inmate Segura's bed in inmate Segura's cell, a cell that he does not share with Erik, while talking with a few other inmates. There was a cell search while the men were in the cell, whereupon a cell phone found hidden in an inmate Segura's mattress. And then in 2021, possession of a cell phone found in a pillowcase in a cell Erik Menendez shared with 5 other men. So they're kind of trying to say they weren't his phones. But before we get off, I wanted to play this when we were playing clips. So this is the Menendez's neighbor, and this goes back to Jose Menendez's behavior, I guess you could say.
And father. Alicia Hertz, their former neighbor and teacher, recalled 2 young boys whose parents seemed formidable, even to adults. Like many others, said Alicia, she was careful around Kitty and Jose Menendez. But there was one episode she found too disturbing to ignore. A dinner party at the Menendez home. Jose told his guests he'd brought back a VHS tape from a trip to Brazil.
And I have to show you guys this because it's so unique. And so he puts it in, and I don't remember the name.
She said the film showed adults engaging in sex acts in front of children.
And we saw a few seconds of it, a few minutes, and we made excuses. A lot of us stood up and said, we have to leave. We couldn't stand to see it, to watch it.
But Jose found this engaging.
Hysterically funny.
These stories of the Menendez family have been buried.
Nasty, right? Plumb nasty. All right, let's go on to B. Erik Menendez predictive scores. The people, having conducted a thorough review of the C file, have verified the classification scores. Erik Menendez's current CSRA rating is a 1, low, on a 1 to 5 scale. His current classification score is 19, with 19 being the lowest. Erik has had a raw security score of 0 since 2014. Erik Menendez's computed classification score before being readjusted to 19. He is presently at a level 2 facility. Post-conviction factors. Education. Erik Menendez has been highly productive in the learning environment. Examples of Erik Menendez's successes include his acceptance to UC Irvine in May 2023 for the fall 2023. Prior to that, he earned his associate's in sociology with honors from Southwestern College. He was accepted in the Pi Theta Kappa Honor Society in August of 2022. He's a frat boy. In May of 2022, Erik earned his certificate in proficiency in American Sign Language from Southwestern College. It is reported that Erik did this to better his communication with participants in the programs he created. Okay, who was that lady? That was the Menendez's neighbor who was there for a party, and he didn't get in trouble because you didn't tell on Jose Menendez. I'm telling you, he was the Latin Diddy, record executive in the Latin culture. You didn't tell on him. It is reported that, Erik Menendez in 2018 earned his associates in social and behavioral science from Coastline Community College and obtained his healthcare aid diploma with highest honors from the Stratford Career Institute in September 2016. Erik Menendez attended Coastline Community College in spring of 2008 and 2009. Self-help and recovery programming. Erik has proven himself to be an incredible asset to his prison community. He has created 4 new programs within the R.J. Donovan Prison to assist and better his fellow inmates' quality of life. We're going to go through the programs that Erik Menendez has created. Yes, it is difficult, Sarah. If this happened now, this would be like a major, major story. Yes, Diddy mentality, the pain, the abuse, the drugging, all of that stuff. It's awful. Thank God we've evolved, huh, Kristen? Life Care and Hospice Connections. Erik, along with a fellow inmate, co-founded and facilitated the Life Care and Hospice Connections program. It's an awareness and support group that provides support for the disabled and elderly inmates. It also serves to educate non-ADA inmates on the physical and emotional struggles of their less abled peers. And I'm not going to read all of this, but this is all the stuff he's done. Workshops, 12-step recovery with meditation. They're big into meditation and yoga. They brought that into the prison as well. They had a voluntary book drive. I'm just kind of skimming this because it's a lot. Getting past stereotypes. American Sign Language so he could communicate with the deaf. He was recognized as a creator and facilitator of the ADA Awareness and Support Group. So he also was a caregiver for 2 years, and he trained other caregivers in hospice. That is really nice. It takes a really special person to get involved with hospice, in my opinion. Okay, so Erik Menendez created the Victim Impact and Victim Empathy for Vulnerable Populations, VIVE, in 2022. In explaining the program, Erik Menendez wrote, "In order to accommodate more students for life care and hospice, I was granted special permission by the RJD Prison's Mental Health Department to hold 8-week Victim Impact and Victim Empathy workshops." VIVE is the Victim Impact part of the Life and Care Hospice curriculum. Chronos documenting Erik Menendez's leadership in the program and his successes are as follows. So he had a PhD come in and do a 6-week workshop. He was honored for that and his participation. "12-step and meditation." In 2022, Erik co-founded the 12-step recovery and meditation class. 12-hour workshop, 8-session, 12-hour workshop, 12-step recovery with meditation. That's awesome. I think that's awesome. Especially with all of the drug problems now. Insight meditation workshops. In 2018, Erik Menendez created a meditation program for inmates at R.J. Donovan Prison. And his reason is this. "In my central file, I have numerous documentation of my work in and participation in mediation." I think he needs meditation, "as it connects to mindfulness and cognitive behavioral therapy. I have practiced meditation for 25 years. Meditation has changed my life." In 2018, I created Insight Meditation to help teach inmates about the physical, emotional, and spiritual beliefs and mindfulness meditation. Pretty cool. And this is everything from that. Look, he even holds Spanish speaking classes for the meditation. Starlight Peace Project. In 10/30/2018, Erik Menendez co-founded the Starlight Peace Project. The stated mission is to create or capture images of peace in places associated with violence and human struggle. They had a no violence challenge. They were responsible for supervising 30 event coordinators and over 150 event participants, including organizing the event, working with administrative staff to gain necessary permissions to hold the event, and coordinating with San Diego State University staff to complete the no violence challenge. It is important to note that at one point, with all the programs and classes Erik founded, Erik was and may still be teaching 5 different classes in the course of a week. Alternatives to violence training. So he was trained to be a facilitator of the program, Alternatives to Violence Training. I'm glancing over at chat and I'm seeing a lot of you guys think that there's a lot of room for them to do some good. Erik Menendez's record of participation in his community. In addition to being the creator and facilitator of the many programs that Erik founded at prison, he is also an active member of his community. Some examples of Erik Menendez's community engagement include all of this stuff. Attending a presentation about a computer science expert, taking part in monthly letter writing campaign targeting youthful offenders housed in local jails. Erik Menendez wrote letters on the first Sunday of each month to write letters and explain his story of incarceration, his regrets, and what he has learned about himself. A walkathon for the American Red Cross. Erik Menendez was an active participant in facilitating the Echo Yard Carnival on August 2nd, 2023. This carnival was a pro-social event that built inclusivity, community, and culture competency amongst inmate populations on Facility E. Hold on. Take a look at this before we go further. I hope you guys don't mind that I'm throwing clips in here. If this takes us 2 parts, it'll take us 2 parts. I just think it's important to look at the details of what is in here.
Tonight on this, have the Menendez Donovan State Prison taking part are 2 of its most infamous inmates, the Menendez brothers. It's the first time news cameras have seen Lyle Menendez since he was sentenced. New at 11 o'clock, 10 News reporter Matt Boone takes us inside the prison with a look at the unique mural project they're involved in.
That's actually not a bad starting point right there. Okay.
To turn something ugly into something beautiful.
That's why this is always the ugly part.
Requires time.
Not quite the orange I was looking for.
And a vision.
I just do my thing. I know what it's going to look like when it's done.
Robert Beckett says he's got a lot of both.
I'm painting from what I remember, more than anything, more than a picture.
Part of the vision came from Brahman Kiri, who runs spiritual outreach programs at the prison.
I would come every week and it was just like grey, and I was like, how are we going to access our heart when there's no colour on the yard?
But some of the idea also came from 2 of the prison's most infamous inmates, the Menendez brothers.
I spoke to Lyle and Erik, who had been thinking about a beautification thing where we're actually going to plant grass and get flowers and all that kind of stuff soon.
Erik and Lyle Menendez were convicted of murdering their parents in their Beverly Hills home in 1989. Their trial captivated the nation, including the explosive allegation that their father had sexually abused them. After spending 20 years apart in separate locations, they were reunited in 2018 at Donovan State Prison. At the time, Lyle told the Daily Mail he thought the day would never come.
Bursting into tears was just quite an emotional moment.
The canvas they're working on are these 30-foot long walls, and while it's not completed yet, their plan is to have the mural go all the way around the prison yard, once completed, making this the longest mural in any prison in the country.
Erik and Lyle declined to be interviewed on camera while we were inside, but Lyle happily posed in front of the mural with his painting group. Despite having exhausted all of their appeals to get out, they have become involved with the rehabilitation of other inmates. Michael Robinson has been behind bars for nearly 30 years, but says Erik approached him about becoming involved in the mural project.
He helped me in a lot of ways, man. Mentally, helped me ground myself.
Painting, he says, helped that process.
I've been in prison for 27 years, and everything has been hard, concrete, and I just wanted to soften the place up a little bit.
This doesn't exist in the whole prison, just in the area known as Echo Yard, where Lyle and Erik are housed. There are inmates of all levels here, allowed in only if they can coexist peacefully. It offers yoga, meditation, movie screenings, and even puppies, who are in training to be guide dogs. The Menendez brothers say they've become involved in trying to help others get out and make it more livable in the meantime. Most recently, organizing a fundraising campaign to put grass in the yard.
There's got to be consequences, but there's also got to be the love.
But the idea that prison is punishment still isn't lost on the inmates here.
Well, I was a little apprehensive at first, having been in prison for some time. We're unfortunately, it builds a little skepticism.
Jonathan Marvin says with his prior experience in prison, he never expected he'd get the chance to paint in prison as a form of rehabilitation.
But to have something like this, take place is pretty mind-blowing.
And it seems to be working.
I do it for therapy. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me humble.
It's given me a peace of mind.
Ruben Radillo has been in for 25 years and is finally getting out at the end of the month. For people who think they have it good painting and watching movies in prison, he argues it's helped him make a dramatic transformation before getting out.
Don't be afraid of me. I'm going to be a good neighbor, and thanks to these projects like this, it helps absolutely.
And while the Menendez brothers have no real chance of life outside these walls, projects like this are helping change how prisoners actually better themselves, for those serving life and for those who may get a second chance. In Donovan State Prison, Matt Boone, 10 News.
So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I mean, you have to earn your way into this part of the jail. But I think it's definitely, yeah, I agree, the classic one. I agree. You think they'll do awesome things? They made a difference, like, no matter where they were, like, they still, So it says participant in brother Lyle Menendez mural project, which will create murals on 1,000 feet long and 30 feet wide walls. Erik Menendez's involvement will be about 20 hours a week as a lead muralist. He did victim awareness programs, coping with anger, post-traumatic stress, positive coping with health conditions. The Life Care and Hospice, Hero Maker Workshop, leading healthy teams. I mean, these guys have more education than most of us on the outside. Shit. He was a soccer referee. She loved soccer. Remember, there's the story of Erik always wanted to play soccer, but his dad wanted him to play tennis and swim. What's up, Kendo? Cancer walk. Inmate ward laborer said inmate Menendez is consistently respectful and honest with his supervisors. Disciplined worker. So these are all his praises. Football referee. And you know what's good about them is that not that religion is a bad thing, but truly, I mean, they have gotten rehabilitation in the areas where it's needed, right? You get these inmates that just cling on to the Bible. I don't know. I think it just says something that they've done all of this stuff. It's amazing that all of this stuff is even available. Life skills, domestic violence workbook, infectious disease awareness, Zen meditation. I mean, look at the list goes on and on. Look at all these trainings: communications, stress management, anger management, sobriety maintenance. Despite not having a documented history of alcohol or substance abuse, Erik has aggressively engaged in sobriety maintenance programming. In addition, his founding of the 12-step meditation program, Erik participated in AA and NA. But some may say, what else do you have to do? Yeah, like Chris Watts. He just turned to the Bible and these guys actually wanted to better themselves, right? So here's their work history. ADA semi-skilled worker. We kind of went through these just now. Ward laborer. I mean, I think it's safe to say we went through everything he's done. Lyle Menendez's post-conviction factors show his current sentence of life without parole is no longer in the interest of justice. We went over these already. The cell phone possession, misuse of... Oh, this is Lyle. Cell phone possession in a cell he shared with multiple people in 2024. Misuse of state phones. He was using the phone when he shouldn't have. In 2013, Lyle had a lighter. In 1988, a female visitor brought him new Adidas shoes in the visiting room. Oh, Lyle. He had to have his Adidas. 9/20/96, refusing an order. Lyle Menendez refused to leave administrative segregation when ordered to join the orientation dorm. It is important to note that Lyle has not been in a single fight in the 30 years he has been incarcerated. In 97, he had to be moved from General Pop to the special needs yard because he wouldn't fight back when attacked. Lyle's score is a 1 and a 19, the same as his brother. And he is a level 2, and he is considered a low risk of reoffending. Education. Lyle has excelled in the academic environment. He recently graduated from the University of California, Irvine, with his bachelor's. It is reported that Lyle was on the dean's list every September and was nominated for the National Merit Society in 2023. Lyle received a United States Senate Certificate of Commendation from Senator LaFonza Butler to congratulate Lyle's graduation from Irvine through the Lifted program. Prior to attending Irvine, Lyle earned his associate's in sociology from Southwestern College and was accepted into the Honors Society. These are smart guys. Lyle Menendez was recognized by California Assembly member David Alvarez for his accomplishment. Prior to earning his associates, Lyle also matriculated at Indiana University. Lyle has also proven himself to be an incredible asset to his prison community. He has held significant leadership roles for more than a decade. Lyle Menendez was able to convince the prison population on max security yard to live alongside the mental health program prisoners, resulting in the CDCR not needing to build a separate yard. In 2007, Lyle worked with inmate population to build consensus to allow integrated housing to be implemented by CDCR without inmate pushback. Lyle went cell to cell, speaking to inmates individually to garner cooperation. Because of Lyle Menendez's ability to garner inmate buy-in to integrated housing, the CDCR was able to close a disciplined dorm. Furthermore, Lyle drafted the bed move section in Title 15 Regulations Code, which is still in effect today. In addition to being a leader among his peers, Lyle has created 4 new programs within the prison system. He created Green Space, Rehabilitation through Beautification, Adverse Childhood Experience and Rehabilitation, ACER. This is important here. ACER seeks to provide non-clinical framework for offenders to explore their own childhood history and its causal relationships to personality traits that can lead to criminality. Youth Life Without Parole sentences for the purposes of mentoring non-life without parole prisoners who were working on their rehab goals in 2013. The Wire Bulletin he created. Additional programming. Circumstances have changed since the original sentences were imposed. A sentence of life without parole is no longer in the interest of justice. Presently, there is no statutory definition of what qualifies as being in furtherance of justice. However, When dismissing criminal charges prior to conviction, it is established that such considerations require weighing and balancing of an individual's constitutional rights against the general interests of society. Erik and Lyle Menendez's positive transformation, as well as their ability to find meaning and purpose from their current confinement, illustrate just how much circumstances have changed since the time they were sentenced to life without parole. My journey of healing, making amends, and understanding my life crime, along with the process of rebuilding my life, has been long and challenging. I had to let go of the only value system I had ever known, beliefs and principles instilled in me by my parents from infancy, and explore anew the meaning of values, love, and compassion within a community. I had to reshape my understanding of success and reevaluate what it means to live a life of true purpose. Today, I find my value in the exchanges of kindness I have with others, in living as a caring and loving husband and father, and in trying to be a compassionate friend and helpful, contributing member of my community. To this end, the principles of my life have become rooted in empathy and where possible, in service. The links to these documents will be in the description of the video when this live stream is over. Here's another statement from Erik. My maturity has taken time. Through a lot of failures and insight, I have a great deal to make up for. The truth is, in assisting and serving the handicapped, they have healed me more than anything I could ever do for them. Menendez's efforts and passion as a caregiver has had a contagious and positive effect on the quality of care given by numerous members of his crew. He has helped change the face of caregiving for the elderly and handicapped on his watch. As such, his conduct should be commended and documented for future supervisors. There's just tons of testimonies from, look at correctional lieutenant. These are high up prison people. Let's see how much there is left. Oh, we're almost done. We are almost done, guys. Then I'm going to show you their wife and girlfriend. Both Erik and Lyle have been recognized for their work ethic, professionalism, and being significant contributors to the betterment of the community they live in. Over the past 30 years, Erik and Lyle have participated in victim impact programs, workshops, and events. They have created multiple programs in service to those in need around them. Both the prison environment and the prison administration of the facilities they have resided at have greatly benefited from their contributions. The CDCR was actually able to close an entire discipline dorm based on Lyle's ability to build consensus among inmates and the administration. Erik and Lyle understand the harm they caused extended far beyond the direct victims of the offense. Their crimes have impacted their family, friends, and the community more broadly. It is important to note that other than the two fistfights Erik was in 97 and 2011, neither Erik nor Lyle have engaged in a single act of violence before the crimes in this case, nor have they engaged in any form of aggression after their crimes were committed during their entire 30-year period of incarceration. They have never been found in possession of a weapon and have never affiliated with the prison gangs. The murders of Jose and Kitty Menendez in August '89, although clearly planned, came upon the heels of years of alleged SA and emotional abuse. Removed from the horror of what was described to have occurred in the family home, both Erik and Lyle have shown themselves to be empathetic individuals who care for and participate in the community for the betterment of the collective. A review of each defendant's prison file shows that there is no evidence that either Lyle or Erik would be likely to commit a super strike upon release. You know, my question is, did Gypsy Rose have to jump through all these hoops? As relevant here, pursuant to Marcy's Law, Victims of a crime have a right to reasonable notice of all public proceedings, including delinquency proceedings upon request. Okay, here, this is your question about the family. It is widely known that the members of the Menendez family are in full support of the resentencing of Erik and Lyle. Members who have voiced their support include Kitty Menendez's sister Joan Anderson Vandermolen, who at the age of 93 flew into the state of California to participate in a press conference called by the family to voice their desire to have Erik and Lyle resentenced. She also attended a meeting with the LA District Attorney's Office in compliance with Marsy's Law, accompanied by almost 30 other extended family members, wherein they all expressed their strong support of Erik and Lyle being resentenced. The family members in support of the resentencing of both Erik and Lyle collectively confirm that the men were essayed by Jose Menendez when they were children. There is a single family member, Milton Anderson, who is opposed to a resentencing of any kind. He declined to meet with the deputy district attorneys assigned to assess this case to discuss his Marsy's Law rights or give direct input. Mr. Milton, however, has made his opposition clear through his attorney's public appearances and statements issued to the press, expressing his total opposition to resentencing, disbelieving that any abuse had occurred in the Menendez home prior to the killings. It is expected that Mr. Milton Anderson will make a personal statement when this motion is litigated. To date, Erik and Lyle have each served 30 years of their current sentence. When Erik and Lyle were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in 1996, their sentences were aligned with what was considered the best public safety practices. What is considered best practices for public safety, however, has evolved. We now understand that public safety is not best achieved through overly harsh punishments that ignore rehabilitation. Instead, public safety is best achieved through a combination of punishment, rehabilitation, restorative justice, and proportionality, and meaningful community engagement, including reentry support and services to the victims of crime. While incarcerated, Erik and Lyle have transformed and taken advantage of meaningful opportunities to mature, move beyond criminal thinking, repent, and become productive community members. Both men have been incredible contributions to the prison system as a whole and to their fellow inmates on a very personal level. Erik and Lyle have done and continue to do their good works and contributions, done without any expectation or hope of ever being released. While incarcerated, Erik and Lyle have shown themselves to be contributing and functioning individuals. As demonstrated through their prison records, both Erik and Lyle present as individuals who are not likely to commit any new offenses, much less a super strike, and are ready to reenter society. The underlying goals of accountability, retribution, and rehabilitation for both Erik and Lyle have been achieved. They have used their time of incarceration well and now show that they are not a risk to public safety. Erik and Lyle Menendez both deserve a lesser sentence. For all the reasons articulated above, the people believe it is in the interest of justice to resentence Erik and Lyle Menendez to a sentence that aligns with their present levels of rehabilitation. Therefore, the people ask the court to recall Erik and Lyle Menendez's sentences and resentence each of them to a new term of 50 years to life, as described below. Imposition of a new sentence will allow the defendants to go through the parole process. Effective January 1st, 2014, Penal Code Section 3051 created a youth offender parole hearing process that will apply to both Erik and Lyle if they are resentenced to a sentence other than life without the possibility of parole. A youth offender parole hearing is a hearing by the Board of Parole Hearings for the purpose of reviewing the parole suitability of any prisoner who was 25 years of age or younger at the time of the controlling offense. Pursuant to the statute, a person who was convicted of a controlling offense that was committed when the person was 25 years of age or younger, and for which the sentence is a life term of 25 years to life, shall be eligible for release on parole at a youth offender parole hearing during the person's 25th year of incarceration. So that would have put them eligible at 25 years in. The youth parole eligible date for a person eligible for a youth offender parole hearing shall be the first day of the person's 25th year of incarceration. At the parole hearing, it is mandated that in assessing growth and maturity, psychological evaluations, and risk assessments, if used by the board, shall be administered by licensed psychologists employed by the board and shall take into consideration the diminished culpability of youth as compared to those of adults, the hallmark features of youth, and any subsequent growth and increased maturity of the individual. Family members, friends, school personnel, faith leaders, and representatives from community-based organizations with knowledge about the individual before the crime or the individual's growth or maturity since the crime may submit statements for review by the board. The youthful offender parole hearing process is not available to inmates serving sentences of life without the possibility of parole, which is why neither of the defendants have been able to previously seek this opportunity. Wherefore, the people respectfully request this court resentence Lyle and Erik, first-degree murder 25 to life, first-degree murder 25 to life. And then the same for Lyle. Respectfully submitted, George Gascón, District Attorney in L.A. Mark Garagos and Alexandra Kazaran. Their lawyer, did he? If they get out, it'll be before Thanksgiving. Yep, there's always that one person, isn't there? Always that one person. What did I say I was going to show you guys after this? I know I forgot. I was going to show you something. Oh, Milton. Milton, that's what I was going to do. Yeah, he's the only one that doesn't want him out. Let's take a look at Milton. Oh, no, I know what I was going to show you. I've got it pulled up right here. This is Erik's wife recalling how she fell in love with Erik. You ready? This is an interview from E.T. Entertainment Tonight. I don't even know if that show still airs, but this is Erik's wife here. I've never seen it.
What made you sit down and write that very first letter to Erik?
I watched the first trial on Court TV, and I saw the pain that he was going through. I could sense a pain. It was after I saw him on the stand, and I saw the pain, and I wanted to write one letter and tell him that I supported him. And I didn't expect him to write back. If he did, that's fine. If he didn't, that's fine too. I was going to write one letter, and that was it. And he wrote back about a month later, and a short letter, because he was getting a lot of mail at that time.
Right. He was pretty infamous.
Yes, he was. And, you know, he wrote back a month later, and then gradually we started corresponding. And my husband knew that we were corresponding. And
yeah, because a lot of people are like, no, okay, when Tammy wrote to Erik, was she married?
Right.
And you were happily married.
Happily married, and he knew. He read the letters, and you know, everything was fine. He didn't mind. He thought it was kind of cool. He watched the trial with me, so you know, that was fine. But it was the compassion.
Wait, you were cheating? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm all for their release and shit, but she said her husband was fine with her cheating and being in love with Erik, and he watched the trial with her. What?
And I guess that went out to him to write the first letter.
What did you think the first time you finally met face to face?
Erik was full of energy and very bubbly, and I'm thinking to myself, how can he be so upbeat and still live in this place? It was the first time I'd ever been in a maximum security prison, and I was scared. You know, I was really scared to be there. But when he walked in, he's just so happy and bubbly, and I think he was happy that I was there, but you know, still.
That you hadn't turned around and gone the other way?
Left, right.
Halfway through the process?
Right, yeah. So
it's not easy getting in.
It's not easy. You have to go through a lot of checkpoints, and you know, that's really, really difficult sometimes. Every single day that I drive to the prison, I don't know for sure if I'm going to get in, the dress code or something. So yeah, it's very difficult. But yeah, the first time I met him, he just was so full of life, you know.
Did you feel anything that first meeting?
I thought that I could sense that I was attracted to him, but we had been writing for so long that we were, you know, like best friends, even though we talked on the phone a lot and written letters for a long time and years. And so when I first met him, I felt like I knew him. But it was reality, you know, when he walked in, it was like, there he is, this is real, you know, so.
When did you first think, I'm falling in love with Erik Menendez?
Well, you know, I denied it for a long time, and I probably had been visiting him for 6 months, and I kept finding myself wanting to go back. Every single time I would leave, I would want to go back, and I would think, you know, this can't be good, but my heart just kept bringing me there, and it was after several visits that, you know, I felt I was falling, and there was no way back, you know, there was no way back.
Are you glad you fell in love with him, or do you wish maybe you'd never met?
No, I'm glad that I've married him and fell in love with him.
What do you guys think of this? Think about this. They've been married for this long and probably have not Oh yeah, they have conjugal visits. He has conjugal visits. I'm not going to play that whole thing. I'll get dinged. It's long, but I'll put the link in the description along with the documents. One more clip I want to play.
Were you at the Menendez home?
Okay, so this was Lyle's then girlfriend, Tracy. Okay. And she testified to how Kitty Menendez treated her. Hold on, let's move this TV. Let's make it a little bit bigger. You guys like going back to the 80s with this TV? All right, so this is Tracy, Lyle's then girlfriend, and she's testifying again about how Kitty humiliated and insulted her.
Were you at the Menendez home for Thanksgiving dinner in 1988?
Yes, I was.
After the meal, did Lyle leave to take a friend of his home?
Yes.
And did Lyle ask you to wait for him while he drove the other friend home?
Yes.
Did you wait for him?
Yes. I'd fallen asleep on the couch, and Kitty came with the cordless phone and said that Lyle was calling from the car.
Did he ask you to continue to wait for him?
Yes, and I sort of protested. I was ready to go, and he insisted that I wait for him, so I did decide to wait. When I was finished talking with him, I got up and went to the kitchen and gave Kitty back the phone, and about 5 minutes later, she came in the room and told me that Lyle had changed his mind, that I had just better go ahead and go home. I sort of said, "Are you sure?" He was very insistent that I stay. And she said, "No, I'm sure. You just better go ahead and go home. But before you do, I'd like to speak with you." She said, "Tracy, I have several questions for you." The first question she asked me was, "I having a sexual relations with her son?" I was brought up to tell the truth, and I said yes. And she was real upset. Her voice and face started to look more, like she was bubbling inside. I said to her, "How did you want me to answer that question?" And she continued saying that she knew that I had spent the night and she didn't feel that was appropriate.
So what did she say to you about the relationship that you had with her son?
She basically said that she had seen girls like me before, and that whatever I wanted from her son, I wasn't going to get. And if I thought I was going to get a hold of his money, then think twice.
Did she treat you with respect?
No, absolutely not. I went to get up, and she literally grabbed my shoulders and shoved me back into the chair. And she just was standing above me. She continued saying that I had borrowed a pair of his sweats or something, and she said something like, oh, you think you could take his things, you think that you fit right in here. I know where you're from. He doesn't date girls like you. Bizarre things that a normal person doesn't say to another person. It was very rude. I was almost crying. I grabbed my things. I said, I'm really sorry that I offended you. I kind of, whatever I said, just to get out of there. I got in the car and cried all the way home.
What was she doing physically while she was yelling at you?
She was standing very close in front of me, so close that she was almost touching my legs, and she waved her arms. You know,
You're clenching your fists here and holding your fists about shoulder level. Is that what she was doing?
I think so.
Did you tell Lyle about this incident a few days later?
I wasn't sure whether or not I should because I hadn't heard from him, and I was very hurt. I believed what she'd said to me, that he didn't want to see me. I called him, and I told him why I left, and basically explained sort of what his mom had said.
Was that the end of the relationship?
Yes.
Poor guys. What a nice...
And basically...
What a nice mama. Crazy. This won't be the last Menendez live we do, guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in, though, and walking through that filing and going back to those tough clips to listen to. Yeah, pass me the clicker, girl. Clicker. We got to go to our credits now. Thank you, guys. Wait, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Doesn't look like I did. Thank you, Shell. I did miss Shell. Thank you for your super chat. Green-eyed was a champ. Sherry, thank you so much. If you guys could hit that like button on your way out, and you will be portaled to tomorrow's live. We're going to start to go over the 501 documents in the Madeline Soto case tomorrow. So we will definitely be covering Menendez, Delphi, and Stearns as we go through these next couple weeks in the true crime genre. Yeah, the moat. I forgot about the moat. But yeah, they had phones in their cars. They were living the high life there. I agree, the classic one. Thank you guys for all of your opinions, comments. I appreciate how reading how you guys feel about this. It's a sensitive one, and it's a wild one. It's a real wild one. All right, pass the clicker. Let's go to our credits. Have a great night, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further? Bring it all in. And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. Damn, damn. I don't give a damn. You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time.
Cocaine. 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 It's cocaine. It's cocaine.
You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you that's okay for me.
Jennifer loves horses.
'Cause I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 I don't give a damn.
Bye, Jennifer.